everyone, and welcome to our Foster Facts Live Zoom edition. Today, we're talking about fostering youth in the LGBTQ plus community. My name is Karanisha, and I'm with Embrace Families. So Embrace Families is the lead child welfare agency for Central Florida. We cover everything child welfare related. So we work for children who have been abused, neglected, or abandoned due to no fault of their own, right? So today's topic, we're going to be talking about fostering a youth that's within the LGBT community. So I have some special panelists here today to talk about their experiences and what they know about this world. So up first, we have Robin Daly. Robin is with the Zebra Coalition. And then we also have Julia Schaefer, who is a former foster youth. So could you both please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about you? Robin, you can go first.
Sure. So my name is Robin Daly. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the Community Engagement and Coalition Manager for Zebra Coalition. Zebra Coalition is an organization that supports LGBTQ plus youth 13 to 24 years old. We have a drop-in center here on Mills Avenue in Orlando where we support youth through counseling and housing and our drop-in center and all kinds of community outreach. And my connection with Embrace Families is that because we work with LGBTQ plus youth, we have some subcommittees that work in the community trying to help better systems and things like that. And I've been fortunate to work with Embrace Families in helping to create a better environment for youth, LGBT youth in the foster system through events that we've done and awareness and outreach like this. So I've been with Zebra for about 3 years. I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community and have been for a very, very, very long time. So, yeah.
Robin has been a great partner. We love her and we love everything that you do for our youth. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Julia?
My name is Julia Schaefer. I am 26 years old. My pronouns are she and her. I am a new mom of a 6-month-old. I am currently a teacher in Orange County. I spent 15 years in total in the foster care system, and I also identify in the LGBTQ plus community.
Awesome. Thank you. And Julia has helped us out a whole lot. I love that she is growing. She has a baby and she's doing so well. So we're so proud of you. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Robin, I'm going to start with you. Can you explain to the audience, what does LGBTQ plus mean?
So we're actually talking about two different things here. It's all lumped together, and it's been lumped together, forever. But LGB is actually your sexual orientation, who you're attracted to. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, that is your sexual orientation or who you're attracted to physically and emotionally. T is actually your gender identity. So for T means transgender, which means that someone is not cisgender. Cisgender is when you are born with a biological sex and you identify with your head and your heart with that biological sex. So transgender is someone who was born a biological sex that they do not identify with. They identify with another, identity. So, and then Q is actually, it's kind of umbrella. There are a few different uses for Q. Q can mean questioning. Q can mean queer. And within queer, that can be just an umbrella term. Some people like to say I'm queer and not identify as LGB, right? Or it's just easier to say I'm queer as an overall kind of term. So there are a few different uses for queer. And then sometimes it's the older generation really sees it, some people do, as derogatory. It's kind of an older term that was derogatory in the past, that the younger generation really, they've kind of reclaimed it, and it's kind of a marching call now. But there are still people in the older generation who are not real favorable from it. It creates trauma for them. And then plus so there are so many terms, and they seem like they grow every day, and we try to keep up with them when we're teaching and training about this. But the plus just kind of incorporates all of that language. So anything identity-wise, sexual orientation-wise, anything that's come up over the last years and stuff is just kind of all encapsulated in that Q.
Thank you for breaking that down for us. I appreciate that. All right. So, Julia, can you tell me what was your experience like being a former foster youth that's a part of this community?
Okay, so when I first went into foster care, I was about 3 years old. By the time that, so I was in foster care from 3 until 13, and experienced plenty of different placements. But by the time I was 13, I went through an unadoption process, and that was, I was in my preteens. I was going through a really rough period. I was trying to find myself, and I was learning. I was learning who I was, and I was also learning about the whole unadoption process, and I was re-entering foster care here in Orlando, Florida. So that was a whole transition within itself, trying to find myself. So my experience in this community being in foster care, it was kind of challenging. It was actually pretty difficult. I wasn't alone. I had my sister. We did enter to a home with a single parent, and I can just go right into that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so when we first went with the lady, she did not accept that. I was kind of questioning at the time. I wasn't sure of who I was. Again, I was still finding myself, and I didn't feel comfortable talking to my sister about these changes. I didn't feel comfortable talking to my foster parent at the time about these changes that I was experiencing, because I didn't really understand myself. So eventually my foster mother at the time, I guess she understood more than I did, as far as she saw that I was questioning certain things, and she wasn't really accepting of what I was going through. So before I could get a complete understanding myself, she kind of tried to stop it before I myself figured it out. So later I found out that she actually identifies in that community as well. And that was in 2008. Back then, I don't know what the rules were as far as being able to be a foster parent who identified in the community, but according to her words at the time, that wasn't really like a big thing. People weren't as accepting in 2008, so she wasn't accepting of what I was trying to figure out. So it was a very rough transition. I'm entering the system again with a parent who identifies herself this way, but doesn't want me to openly identify that way. She was afraid of what the world might think, but here I am trying to figure out what I think. So it was definitely a challenging time.
For sure, for sure. And so much has changed from then to now. So
Yes.
I can only imagine. What could she have done, or what could have happened that would have made that experience for you a little bit easier? May not necessarily perfect, but easier for you.
Something that would have made it easier definitely would have been an open mind. If she would have been able to sit down and have that conversation with me, instead of trying to stop me from figuring it out myself and trying to figure it out for me, it could have been a process for the both of us. Like I said, she did identify herself in that community, and therefore she knew what she wanted as an adult. And I'm just a child trying to find my way and figure out what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling. A lot of people try to put that off on experiences. Oh, you feel this way because of what you've been through, or you think this way because of what you've been through. But the truth is, no one can control how you think or how you feel. Like, you don't even control it most of the time. So just someone who can sit down and try to understand that it's challenging. It's different for everyone. So as long as you're open to listening to what I have to say and trying to get into my head and understand my process might be a little different than yours, and just be accepting of what I'm trying to say. Like, even though if you don't understand everything that I'm saying, as long as you're open to hearing me and willing to work through it with me.
That is so important. The thing that I heard you say the most is that you're willing to listen. You're going to listen to me and hear what I'm saying. You may not know the answers, but you're going to find out the answers because you know that this is important to me. And if you don't know, you're going to seek and search for that and show me that you're here for me. That's so important. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. So, Robin, we often get families that call that are wanting to be foster parents, and their question is, if I get a child that identifies in the LGBTQ plus community, right? They come into my home. How do I identify them, or how do I address them? What would you say to those foster parents?
So I would address them by their first name, you know, and then from there, you just have to feel that out and be open and talk to youth. If what you're seeing, what you're experiencing is, something that you don't understand, or something doesn't quite click, just sit down and talk to them. Ask them, may I ask how you identify? May I ask, what your pronouns are? What does that look like? They're either going to be like, what are you talking about? Or, thank you. These are my pronouns. This is how I identify. And if it's somebody, who's struggling to try to figure out who they are, you know, as Julia went through, then be that support and help them find resources. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to be an expert at it. You know, the thing I hear the most is, I just want somebody to support me. You know, um, you don't have to be part of the LGBT community. You know, you just have to be supportive and open-minded. So if someone comes into your home that doesn't, you know, and the paperwork says one thing and they look another way, like, what does that feel like, right? Just ask, and you're gonna get the truth. But when you ask, be ready to support that, you know. um, and and it's challenging, because if you see someone and you think they're female but they identify as male or as non-binary, and they're using they them pronouns or he pronouns, it takes work. You know, it takes work. Or if their paperwork comes in and it's got a legal proper name that's this, but they're going by this name, it takes work and practice to get that right. But every youth I've experienced, that if you try, as long as you're trying and they see that you're trying to be supportive, and that makes all the difference, even if you make mistakes. As long as you're not saying, well, I just can't do it, it's just too hard, you know, I just, you know, that's just an excuse, you know, and then that gets old really quick. But over and over and over again, support, 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 open-mindedness, love, and support. That's all any of these kids want, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really no different than
anybody wants. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I know that I am well versed in the community, and I try to make sure that I say the right things and I do the right things. And I love that you mentioned pronouns, because that has been a gateway for me. That if I ever come across someone and I'm not quite sure, like, I don't want to be disrespectful and I don't know everything. You know, you talked about that plus is a whole lot, you know, and asking someone like, hey, what's your pronoun? And that kind of gets the conversation started, you know? And so I think that that is a great way for those that are unsure, start off that way. Hey, what's your pronoun? Or, you know, to your point, obviously say their name. And then if you get the conversation started after that, say that. And that is totally okay and totally acceptable. Would you all agree to that? That is like a safe way to kind of get
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
for sure. It's the easiest way.
That's what we talk
about. The most respectful way.
May I ask your pronouns? May I ask, you know, how you identify? They may say no.
Yeah.
Right. They may, but at least you try.
But yeah, but you're trying. Yeah, absolutely. And then that really does open the door to those other conversations, if they're comfortable talking about it. Like, because we know LGB is orientation. That's who we're attracted to.
Right.
He is identity. That's who we are inside, in our heart and in our head, as you know, how we feel inside. We know just from our experiences at Zebra Coalition and just in community, younger kids are the ones who identify quicker. So they're, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10 years old, you could have a child saying, I'm not a girl, I'm a boy, or I'm not a boy, I'm a girl, you know, and having that question in their head and wanting to dress like a boy or dress like a, you know, dress opposite, and or neutral even, right? And so when the LGB part really comes in, when they're a little bit older, you know, and puberty starts to hit, and they start realizing that they're attracted to someone emotionally and physically. So that's the typical kind of range of what we see.
Love it. Now, Julia, do you feel that your experience would have been easier if you had a foster parent that was in the LGBTQ community? Now, I know that you said that she was, but she didn't quite accept it, it seemed, or wasn't open and willing to share with the masses. But do you think it's necessary? Like, do they have to be a part of the community to show a foster kid in that community love?
I definitely don't think that it is necessary for them to be a part of the community. I mean, that conversation can get even more technical. I think that as long as you're in a home with a parent, two parents, it doesn't matter how many parents, it doesn't matter the gender of the parent, how they identify, just someone who's willing to accept you into their home, make you feel loved, accept you for who you are, not try to relate to what you're going through and not necessarily feel that they have to understand what you're going through. But like Robin had mentioned, someone who is willing to work with you, work through what you're experiencing, meet you where you are, and help you get to wherever you want to be. So there are plenty of resources that Embrace Families can connect you with, or they might be able to provide to the foster parents and even the youth that are out there. You don't need to be with someone in the community to reach those resources. So no, my answer to that question is definitely not.
So Robin, when we talk about resource, can you tell us a little bit more about what's available for those families that are interested in fostering youth who may fall within this community?
Absolutely. So, of course, there's Zebra Coalition, and we have counseling. We have just young people meetups. We provide a space where young people can just come in and hang out in the afternoon and be in a safe, affirming space. Right now, we're doing everything online, but when we go back to in-person stuff, we can do it here in the building. We have counseling. We have just groups. Each day we have a different group, art group. There's a couple of kind of group therapy things that happen. Tons of support here at Zebra. But outside of Zebra, there are other organizations that also support parents, foster parents, anyone. Like PFLAG is an organization that supports parents and friends of people in the LGBTQ plus community. So they meet once a month. It's a great support network, and it's really kind of informal. You just sit around and listen to people talk about their experience, and you get some resources that way. There are tons of resources within that group. We have an LGBT center here across the street from us, the Center Orlando. Many resources there and groups that happen. Zebra itself has a parent group. So if someone is fostering an LGBT youth and wants to get support, peer support for themselves and learn more about what it's like to have an LGBT youth in their care, they can be part of our parent group. So different options like that. There are so many LGBT resources in Orlando that are out there for people to use.
So overall, no one's alone. So if you don't know the answers, you have someone to help you find the answers and get you to where you need to be.
Yeah, there's a group called Rainbow Families. It's a Facebook group that is huge, huge. And it's parents of LGBT youth, and it's also parents who are LGBT and have kids. So it's both. But yeah, there are a million resources out there.
Yeah, the support is available. You just got to reach
Absolutely.
out, right? So
Absolutely.
Do you have any final thoughts? And this is for both of you, both Julie and Robin, to anyone out there who, they may want to foster, but they're not quite sure if they're open to fostering a child in its community. Any thoughts or words for them?
I would say, I think I said this at the beginning, but my experience here working with youth is that they really just want someone to support them. They just want to know that someone has their back and that loves them and supports them. And, we get that question of, what if it's a phase? What if it is? It's probably not, but what if it is? Wouldn't you rather have a healthy child than a child who is struggling with mental illness, mental health, depression, anxiety, because they're not supported in whoever they are? I mean, if your kid likes, I don't know, Ninja Turtles, like, you support them, so I think just having someone to have their back and support them is I have an experience recently where I watched a 9-year-old child come out as transgender, and I knew them before and I know them now, and post this, it's been a month or two, completely different kid, so happy, so comfortable in their skin, talks nonstop, like unbelievable,
Just free.
And yeah, it is so amazing, so yeah, that's all they need is support, and that's free. Like, you just got to be there. You just got to be willing to show up.
Yeah. Hello.
And to kind of piggyback off of that, when a child enters your life, just like any human, that's what they want to be viewed as, a human, a child looking for a home, a child looking for love, a child looking for family, a child looking for things that they've never had. Maybe they have had and they've lost. That's a huge thing being in foster care. You go through so many changes, you lose so many things. You don't understand what love really feels like. You don't know how to accept it. You don't know how to give it. All of these things that we're going through, how we identify and how we view ourselves and who we think that we are, is just another thing that comes with the child. So I don't think that when you see the child, that's the first thing that you should see. I think that you need to have an open heart and an open mind and be willing to accept whatever it is that comes with that child.
Yeah.
And most importantly, be supportive throughout the whole process.
I think Julia has just wrapped up everything and spoke a word for the masses. Thank you so much. Thank you both for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And just really, I hope that people feel a little bit more secure and comforted in knowing that, again, if you don't know it, you have people out there that can help you navigate through it, and you're going to be there for a child. And I love that the essence of a child is a child, and they just want love. They just want someone who's going to be there with them and help them not get over their situation, but get through their situation. Exactly. And that's what they want. You're going to be that hand that walks with them through whatever they're going through. And that's what we're looking for. So if you out there that are watching are interested in being a foster parent, we need you. Please be open to whatever child, whatever they may look like, whatever race, whatever they identify as, whoever they say that they love. A child is a child, and that's what we're looking for. We don't care if you're single, married, a part of the community yourself, if you are a widow, if you have a big house, if you have a small house. We want you to love on our kids. That is what we're looking for. Right now, our greatest need is for people who are interested in teenagers, sibling groups of 2 or more, or 10. Kidding, or not, or people who are interested in children who may have some challenges. So if that's you, please contact us at 866-90-CHILD, or you can check out our website at www.embracefamilies.org. We look forward to seeing you. We look forward to you loving on our children and starting this journey of fostering with us. Thank you for tuning in to this session. Thank you all both again for being here. This was great. And I'm Akarisha, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.